Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. That's the way the boys wanted to go upstairs in the whatever the engine room is called. Today, well, let's first of all thank God it's Friday. I always say that on a Friday, don't know why. But my guest this morning is Comrade Balazaka. He's an oil and gas analyst. He's an expert in, he's an engineer. He's an expert in petroleum, drilling, and all of that. So a fine welcome to you. Good morning, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
I'm so very happy that you're here because it's a subject matter that I know you are enthusiastic about, the general oil sector.
Correct.
Now I don't know how Nigerians have been looking at it. Is it trepidation or what? I'm talking about whether or not they're going to remove fuel subsidy. Because if they do, we've been hearing that the pump price will skyrocket.
Correct.
And that will affect every other thing down the line.
Correct.
And life will become almost unbearable because who will be able to afford a liter at maybe 700 naira or whatever they are projecting it is going to be? So then we heard, is it a bit of relief when we heard the minister? First of all, we heard that this whole thing that particular can has been kicked further down the road. When the president-elect was on the campaign trail, he said, whatever we think, it will have to be removed. There is no going back from there.
Unfortunately.
That is, well, yes. So now I just wanted to ask you, so where are we? Because we've since heard that the Minister of Finance has said that contrary to ideas that are floating out there, there is no reversal of the general policy direction, that's the way it was phrased, to indeed remove the subsidy from fuel. So tell me, can we survive, the life with the way we know it now, if we remove the subsidy on fuel, and theoretically,
Never.
Fuel becomes 700-800 naira a liter or whatever it is?
Never.
We cannot survive.
This country will grind and collapse into the valley. Quote me.
But that's not what all economic experts are saying.
No. You see, there is a big difference between people who are talking theoretically and somebody that has practical knowledge.
Okay.
That's what we're discussing here.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you, sir, with due respect, the biggest mistake this country will make, especially our economic and political leaders, is for them to be looking at just that 6 trillion or 8 trillion naira they think they will save from removal of subsidy on the only remaining product called PMS. If they try doing that, the political, social, security, and economic anarchy that they will throw this country into will be 10 times more than that 8 trillion naira that they are thinking they will save. And let me explain, sir.
But before you even go further, let me just throw in one here. It's been said that fellow Nigerians, this fuel subsidy that we are talking about, it is not you fellow Nigerians that are enjoying it. It is the moneyed class.
It's a lie. Let me explain.
So you will not enjoy it.
It's a lie. Sir, let me explain. We have been deceived. They said there was going to, first of all, every time I use the word distillates, I'm referring, we will later remind me to talk about petrochemicals.
Okay.
But now we're concentrating on refined petroleum products, the products of refineries, not petrochemicals later. So, but sir, what is happening is this. We were deceived. At a point, we were told that before the removal of subsidy on the price of diesel, kerosene, and aviation fuel, we were told that once you remove subsidy on the price of diesel, there was going to be competitive pricing. Prices will come down. We will see investors will feel.
I recall that.
At that time, between you and I, a liter of diesel was about 80 naira. Today, a liter of diesel is about 800 naira per liter. Let them show me one investor that has come. All those greenfield refineries they are talking about, let them show us.
So what happened? What went wrong?
The only thing, it was because it was a deception. They were complying with conditions from creditors. Allow us time. I wish we would have 5 hours to discuss this. But that's why...
My worry is that you're using the word deception, and governments don't deceive the citizens.
No, but the only... Let me tell you why in the context of Nigeria there is deception. It is only in the context of Nigeria that we are made to understand that government is not in the business of providing goods and services And I'm telling you, everywhere you go to, it is the duty of government to provide goods and services, then provide enabling environment for citizens.
That one I know.
No, well,
that one I know.
No,
The second one.
I will explain the goods and services. And when they do that, what the citizens need to do is to make sure they comply with their civic responsibilities of paying taxes and levies. And let me explain. It's not the private sector that provides jobs. Allow me please to explain this point.
Okay.
That is why, if you look at government will go and construct roads, and those roads will pass through communities, whether you have armed robbers, you have Yahoo people, you have clerics, you have prostitutes. Because it is the duty of government. If government is supposed to go and put hospitals, they will not say in this hospital, this area, there are criminals. The same thing with schools. But private sectors are after profit maximization and cost minimization. I mean, profit maximization and cost reduction. You understand? And that is why if you see a private sector person going to your location to establish a refinery or a processing factory, it is not true. He is not doing that because he loves the people of that community or he wants to develop them. It's because his or her feasibility studies have shown that they will maximize profit there and minimize costs. But in the process of doing that, they will employ people looking for human capital to help them maximize. And people
and this is
mistakenly interpret it as they are those providing jobs.
Yes.
No, it is what they need to maximize their profit. If there is no profit, they will not go there. But for government, whether you vote for them, you don't vote for them, whether you have criminals in your area, they must construct roads to pass through there. They must go and construct public schools. They must construct public hospitals. They must make sure they have policemen. So these are the things people don't understand.
You are aware that it has often been said that government has no business in business.
That is the error. Let me answer it quickly.
Let me just provide the enabling environment.
Let me answer it.
Okay.
Who is constructing, or which organization or body is constructing the airports in Nigeria? Is it a private body? Is the government of a particular country? I don't want to mention it. You know it. So who says government is not in the business of business? We are talking about creativity and dexterity, not docility. You know and I know, as we speak today, it is the government of a particular country that is constructing these fantastic airports you are talking about in Nigeria. And the reason why they do that is because it's government. They are generating the revenues back to their countries, and they are doing the same in Africa. So who says it's not government?
But is that not because we can't help ourselves, so to speak?
If we cannot help ourselves, then we are a collection of melancholies, and that's the area I'm going to. How can we say a country of 200 million citizens with more than 100 universities and polytechnics combined, and we say we cannot provide basic things for ourselves? You see, these are the things that we must fix correct. It will be very, very unfortunate if the incoming government, because my prayer is, because we are loyal citizens, it is our prayer that all those that the Almighty will crown will lead us in national interest. And to me, let me define to them who leaders are. For those that the Almighty will crown, effective 29th May 2023. Leaders are fellow citizens. I know, so you are not a politician. Leaders are fellow citizens, that loyal citizens like you and I elected and handed over our economic, political, and social destinies for them to manage for us in national interest. And to that extent, if they don't do it in national interest, we will criticize them constructively. And based on that, that is what they are supposed to do. Sir, with due respect, as I speak to you now, there are no comatose refineries in Libya. There are no comatose refineries in Saudi Arabia. They don't exist in Malaysia, Iraq, Iran, Indonesia, and Qatar.
So why do we have them?
That is the reason why I'm talking to you about leadership docility. So not that, and remember, all of us, including Nigeria, are members of OPEC. Even if we can't have the knowledge within Nigeria, can't OPEC help us? I'm coming.
When you say leadership docility, does that mean the leadership doesn't know its left from its right?
No,
doesn't know what to do?
The truth is this. There are some probably affiliations that are making this is not to work.
Okay.
And that is the thing. Because I will later ask me to explain how we can fix this. It's an elementary way. Okay, we are also having so much gas, sir. Nigeria also, just the way you have a crude oil cartel called OPEC, there is a gas cartel called Gas Exporting Countries Forum with headquarters in Doha, Qatar. And Nigeria is a member. So Nigeria should be looking as lit as Qatar. I don't get money. I didn't go for Nigerian World Cup. I mean World Cup in Qatar. But for those who went and saw how lit and clean Qatar was, that's how Nigeria is supposed to be, because we also have the gas. But we don't have light in Nigeria. From natural gas, you will get ammonia. From ammonia, you will get urea. From urea, you will get fertilizer. Nigeria is not rich in fertilizer. I come from an area where many of my people are farmers. The bag of fertilizer that used to cost 2,000 Nigerian naira is now more than 20,000 Nigerian naira. We still cannot use our natural gas to drive gas turbines and generate electricity. As I speak to you right now, sir, with due respect, Nigeria is not generating up to 10,000 megawatts of electricity. And based on that...
So what is the NNPC Limited? What is it doing about all of this?
Remind me, and let's talk about PIA, PIB, vandalization, and the rest, and I will answer all those.
Okay.
So, sir, when you look at it, a lot of people are just looking at they say 8 million naira, 8 trillion naira will be saved if you remove subsidy. What I keep telling people is just like saying, the way you are and I am now, somebody will just come and say, let me create wound on you, and then I will give you drugs or palliative to heal you. The question I keep asking that person, that wound you want to create in me, what if the wound becomes cancerous and you cannot control it? And let everybody explain to me, where are the benefits and the investors that they promise us before they remove subsidy in the price of diesel, aviation fuel, and kerosene? Me, I can answer you today and say the only thing we have discovered have been the collapse of strategic industrial sectors, strategic commercial sectors, and strategic domestic sectors.
So you're clearly not for removal of fuel subsidy. Even though people who have think tanks, by the time the president-elect said what he said on the campaign trail, at the time, I don't know where his mind is now, whether he's still in that direction. That must have been coming from the eggheads he has around him, the think tanks he has around him.
That 8 trillion naira. Today, there is anarchy because of lack of diesel. As I speak to you, sir, now, I am in this studio. I don't want to believe you are not running on diesel. At the cost of diesel today, tell me how you will break even. That is why you go to banks. They open up at 9 o'clock and close at 3. Everywhere is looking dark because these industrialists, they cannot afford the cost of diesel. As at last week, there were so many taxes. I'm also a tax analyst. If we go by those taxes, I'm telling you, Nigeria will collapse. And many people they think are big men, and they say they are subsidizing big men. Quote me. I'm also an auditor, apart from being a chartered accountant. So when you go to financial institutions like banks, most of the people you think are big men are bloody debtors. Because when you go, they are those responsible for the bad debts and bad loans. I am only telling you. So the fact that you see somebody in a big car or living in one serene estate, don't be surprised that how much that person is owing. The whole of his assets cannot pay 1/10 of the debts.
And it's not against the law. It's not against the law. Because that sounds like a scam.
No, this is a scam. And so we are talking about, when they are talking about 6 trillion, you will say that they have forgotten that as at 2 days ago, or some days ago, somebody who was minister for energy or power in Nigeria, within 2 years that he was there, he was supposed to take care of something that has to do with generation of electricity in Mambila. That guy worked how many billions? It is in this country some days ago or some months ago, somebody who was supposed to be the chief accountant of Nigeria, was alleged to have stolen billions. You will know where the criminals are. All you need to do, sir, if people like us are given a chance, what we will do to such people, we will pull off their flesh from the bones. Sir, we know.
No, you're angry.
So
You're angry
how much is
at the
8
situation.
trillion naira and the anarchy? Sir, with due respect, I don't like mentioning names, but I will give examples. When NSAS took place in Lagos, I had the opportunity of being in a place called Bega, Ojodu Bega, or let me say Bega Olora. Sir, if you see the number of brand new BRT buses that were burnt only there, they cost trillions. I'm not talking about Obalende. I'm not talking, that is what anarchy can cause.
Indeed.
And that one said it wasn't economic hardship. It wasn't a wrong decision that government took. What happened was there was just a clash between protesters and law enforcement agents. Whatever happened, we don't know. Look at the calamity. Not to talk of the one that we are talking about deliberately. Look at what, go to the aviation sector. Look at what is happening. Mass cancellation of flights, mass delay, and mass retrenchment.
You know, we hear, luckily you said that actually you bridge a number of
And what if we were not even having crude oil at all?
Now, this is where
This is the thing.
is in that area I wanted to sort of launch this question from. We've heard that because oil is our principal revenue earner, we're going to have to let go of the subsidy and then make up by getting much more serious with taxation, that kind of a thing you talk about.
I almost forgot addressing that. I'm happy you remind me. That is why I always appreciate you. You know, I've been to a place where people saw me and wanted to embrace me and thinking I was Yori. They noticed I had more gray hair. But I told them, yes, I'm his younger brother, even though I had more gray hairs. So let me tell you, that is also another big deception that makes me to feel disappointed in most of the Nigerian technocrats that have reduced themselves to praise singers, saying Nigeria is a monoproduct economy. Tell me, let them show me how many countries, if we are monoproduct economy, let them show me. Is Libya, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Iraq, Iran, are they product economies? Product economy? Are they tri? Are they tetra? Are they penta? Are they hexa? Are they hepta? Are they octa? Are they nona product economy? It's a lie. The whole of United Arab Emirates, as I speak to, I'm prepared for this today. I'm ready to have discussion, debate with anybody to the level of OPEC or gas exporting countries forum in the context of Nigeria. The whole of United Arab Emirates that you are seeing today, everything about United Arab Emirates or UAE, it was a desert. The only product they had was oil and gas. But when you go there, it is the creativity and dexterities that has made that place to look purely a tourist destination center. People go there for hospitality. Even Anthony Joshua, he went and reclaimed his title in sports. You go there for medical treatment. So when we talk about dexterity,
just an expert and efficient use of the resources
no, that is
generated.
what we are saying. So it's not because you have monoproduct. If you go to Saudi Arabia, tell me any product that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has outside crude oil. But from only petrochemicals, they are in riches. Go to the Libya of Gaddafi. What was the Libya of Gaddafi having? Only crude oil. Go to Iran. What does Iran have? Go to Qatar. Some people went for World Cup. It's only one product. So it's not the amount of products that you have. It's your ability to transform that crude product, process it and crystallize it into viable product. And then when the revenues come, it is your duty to say, let us have a state-of-the-art kidney dialysis or center or transplant so that some of our legislators will not go and shame us outside. It is our duty to have kidney transplant centers, cesarean operations. It is our duty to have state-of-the-art schools so that we will not be losing on children going out for education.
Do we even know how much oil we actually are producing?
We can know it.
Can we? Because that
It's
seems to
very
be a state
easy.
secret.
No,
You're an auditor. Nobody apparently can ask, I want an accounting of how many barrels we lift
sir,
from
let me
Nigeria.
tell you.
They say they don't
It's
say
a lie. It's a lie. I will tell you how elementary it is. But do you know that shamelessly, as I speak to you right now, Angola of Cabinda has overtaken Nigeria. In terms of oil production. Quote me that I said the whole of Angola's crude oil reserve is less than 13 billion barrels. The whole of Angola's proved gas reserve is less than 11 or 13 trillion cubic feet of gas. Angola has overtaken Nigeria. Nigeria has in excess of 36 billion barrels of crude oil. Barrel is the unit of crude oil measurement. And Nigeria has more than 200 trillion cubic feet of gas. That is proved.
But
and
they
when
say
we
we're
say
flaring
proved,
most of it.
when we say proved, first of all,
Okay.
it means the basic tools you have now, you can use it to extract that.
Okay.
But potentially, Nigeria has about 600 trillion cubic feet of gas. Recently, we made discovery around Gombe. That area, in terms of geological basins, belongs to what we call Gongola Basin. About a month ago, drilling activity started around Nasarawa, that is Benue Trough. Even this Lagos I'm talking to you, Lagos belongs to the geological basin we call Dahomey Basin. There is oil. But what have we seen? We are not near Saudi Arabia in terms of growth and development. So, sir, I want to tell you that it is the management and crystallization. And when I hear...
You continue, sir, but Izzy has come on and is waiting. Good morning to you, Izzy, calling in from Bayelsa.
Good morning, Uncle Larry.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Your guest is so passionate about the oil issues in this country. And I can feel his pulse. It's quite unfortunate that with the wealth and endowment of crude oil given to us by God, first discovered in Bayelsa and commercial country Noloivri in Bayelsa State. Today you can see that the nation called Nigeria have mismanaged that resource.
Can you just give us some more volume so we can hear in studio?
But
we can't hear.
I believe that we should be able to harness available resources. This outgoing government promised us that they are going to set up a number of refineries. And the refineries actually were not there. They promised one refinery per year. 7.5 years down the line, none has been built. They are all hoping now that the Dangote refinery shamelessly will be commissioned on the 22nd of this month by our president, who promised us gloriously. Today is going to commission a refinery built by a private individual. A country as rich as Nigeria could not build a refinery. Our refineries are in comatose. The former minister promised that 4 refineries will come on stream. There are a lot of turnaround maintenance. My NGO have gone there for inspection, work on those refineries in top gear, Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna are in top gear. But if we are looking at Dangote refinery, do we have the capacity, since we are not meeting our OPEC quota, to be able to meet our local demand, to be able to crystallize how we can be able to get enough crude oil to service the Dangote and the 4 refineries when they come on stream? We must remove this subsidy so that we can begin to be focused in this country. We shouldn't be pampering ourselves. Nigeria as a nation has to look inwards, and we have to be focused in building capacity. Look at a country with over 133 million poor Nigerians wallowing in adversity with no food to eat. Look at over 20 million of our children roaming the streets without attending good schools. Look at our poverty level. Look at underdevelopment. Look at lack of critical infrastructure in areas of health, housing, electricity, and the like. Then the country is about to transit. My only joy is that the incoming president, Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with his vast of experience and the years in the trench, being a Democrat, should be able to harness the right caliber of technocrats, seasoned politicians, and men with capacity to be able to think right, to be able to drag this country out of the present quagmire. The outgoing president has done his best. His best is glaring, not enough.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Izzy.
We're in a terrible situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate your call.
Let me quickly answer him. I was flowing with him, but I decided to be at variance with him when I had him say maybe subsidy removal will be a solution. That 6 trillion.
No, I thought he said we have to remove subsidy.
And that is why I'm saying, which is that I became opposite.
Okay.
Because it's wrong. I'm happy he's using the word Bayelsa. He knows the location you call Ekulama. He knows Nembe Creek. He knows Cowton Channel. He knows Alakiri. He knows the place we call River Non. He knows where we call Obricombe and the rest. Mm-hmm. He knows all these are oil-producing areas. Ask him how good they are looking. Is it because they didn't remove subsidy on the only product remaining? What is happening is exploitation. If you go to those places, when we start talking...
He sees it as we're pampering ourselves.
No, we are not. The question is this. When you ask him, I wish he can answer. Where is the benefit from what the subsidy you remove on the price of diesel, kerosene, and aviation fuel? And I'm telling him, those communities I mentioned, I've worked in all those areas. They are looking desolate. Is it because subsidy was not removed 20 years ago? That's why they are looking like that. And is it because you didn't? Okay, let all of them ask me. Is there no subsidy in Saudi Arabia? Is there no subsidy in Qatar? Was there no subsidy in the Libya of Gaddafi? In Malaysia, Indonesia? And let him ask me, let them answer.
But people might say that's not a fair comparison. Saudi
no,
Arabia.
It's a fair, we're
Saudi
talking
Arabia
about oil. Oil.
Yeah.
They belong to the same cartel. Sir, the reason why people belong to associations is because when you have common problems, like professional organizations, you mentioned 1 or 2 professional organizations I belong to. Technically, I may not be sound, but when a problem or somebody confronts me with a question, I will throw it to my colleagues.
Can come from
so
that
when
grouping.
you ask, why is it that vandalism is not in any of those countries?
Okay.
If you go to Saudi Arabia or Libya, Iran, Iraq, or Qatar, they will not lose 1 barrel of crude oil or 1 standard cubic feet of gas. Please, we should tell ourselves. I've given example of Lagos.
Yes, but
with the disaster. That 6 trillion naira is nothing compared to the anarchy that this country will be thrown into. We're deceiving ourselves.
Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Yori. Good morning, my friend Bala.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yori, for a few days now, if you can hear me, I've been having nightmares. And you ask
What
me
about?
Why. Yes.
What about? Nightmares about what?
About every time I remember that it would take less than 3 weeks for Buhari to leave office, my heart will shake and I will have a nightmare. That Buhari we fought for. I'm saying this based in my friend and his passion. That in my friend and his passion, it seems like if you make him the minister of oil, things will be better. But there's a problem in Nigeria that makes things not to work. If Buhari could govern Nigeria, why we voted for him in 2015? Because he was a minister of petroleum many years ago. He was a chief of the petroleum task force. We say Buhari come to power, knowing the terrain very well, he will make things better and our refinery will work. If I wake up every day, there's about 2-3 weeks for him to leave, and the whole refinery is not working, I have a nightmare. Number 2, Yore, there's blood every day. We are talking about war. There are 2 million IDP camps in Benue alone. 2 million people in IDP camps. We are not in war because of insecurity. I say this for this. My friend Bala is an expert, and he has the same passion I have. But the question is this. If we make Bala today Minister of Petroleum, could think work, I don't believe so because there's a cabal. Who doesn't want Nigeria to work? And when they go into government, they paralyze you. Ask my friend, the former spokesperson to Jonathan, Dr. Abati. Dr. Abati came to outside government and said truth to power. That governance in Nigeria is like witchcraft. You take A and you get B. What I'm trying to say is this. Why is it that we're talking about subsidy, and we cannot make our foreign refineries work? In Saudi Arabia, in Libya at war, the refineries are working. Now we're talking about creating jobs. The refineries can create jobs, Warri can create jobs, Potako can create jobs when we make them work. But nobody's looking out there. I don't even believe in governance in Nigeria again. And I've stopped protesting. My wife told me that the any day you die, we'll bury you. You don't mention what I just said.
Thank you very much for calling in, Reverend Dominic. I got to go on a break now.
But before we go on, which state is he from? Imo? Did you say from Imo State? So that I will mention oil fields in Imo State. If he's from Anambra or Apia, if he's from Imo, let anybody tell me if the Egbema of Imo State, if the Naze of Imo State, if all these Uguta, all these places are oil fields, how are they looking?
That's the point that's been consistent.
We will break these things down.
You've been consistent about that. Say, go to all those areas and tell us how good they are looking.
In 23 years now, we've not been able to construct a single refinery.
Saudi, Qatar, and all these places you've mentioned don't have similar
they don't have
situations that we have in
and
Nigeria.
we are members of the same association.